'Tis the age of kings.
Hello everybody, welcome to LT Gaming. My name is Tom, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 forgotten 90s gems for PC. So on the channel lately, we've been dropping some breaking reviews of games such as The Great War Western Front and Pharaoh A New Era. You should go check those out, by the way. And while we love ourselves a new game to showcase these for you guys, we also love to reconnect with our roots. And for us here, 90s gaming scene is a large part of that. So today's video is going to be a walk down memory lane to the games that may have faded from your memory, but are still absolute gems to this day. Let's go. Before we kick things off, however, I just want to say thank you to all the support we've been getting lately. We're really appreciating the interactions on the channel. Make sure if you enjoy the video to drop us a like, drop us a comment on maybe a game that you think should have been on the list, and of course, please consider subscribing if you enjoy what we make. Alright, let's jump into it, guys.
Protector of the realm. May you use the gifts bestowed upon you to serve this kingdom with honor and chivalry, as befits
Conqueror
a knight.
1086 AD. This game had one of the most epic openings of all time, and it's stuck with me to this day. You begin the game as a 12-year-old and you make a series of different choices in order to generate your character. So different scenarios come to you and you make choices, and then eventually at the end of this you are 18 years old and you are dubbed a Lord of England. And your goal is to build your fief, take over other fiefs and lands, attend tournaments, woo ladies, and then either slay the dragon to win the game or overthrow the King of England. This game, whilst somewhat dysfunctional, I remember it crashing a lot on me, I had a massive amount of fun playing it and building my town up, fighting, taking over different castles. It was so much fun. It has a really unique vibe and aesthetic to it. I think this is a really fun one and it can be picked up on GOG.
Our tale begins in a fair Viking village. It is a prosperous
Vikings, the strategy of ultimate conquest. This is a little known adventure strategy hybrid that was originally released back in 1996. It places you as the chief of a Viking tribe in the 9th century. And at the start of the game you have some choices, so you can either start in Norway, Sweden or Denmark. You pick your ruling starting town, and then your difficulty level and what is your skills or advantage. And then it is a choice for you on how to play the game. You can either roam the high seas and raid and attack different villages and build your fame and wealth, or you can stay home and govern and build your economy up that way. This game is a lot of fun. It's a bit sluggish on the controls, but once you get used to it, it's fine. There is also very good music and dialogue. It seems to be written almost like a book when you get into the dialogue, and it's all voice acted by Michael Dorn of Star Trek fame. It is a very difficult game, as I said, so be prepared for a little bit of initial frustrations, but definitely one to check out. Caesar 3 is a city building game from 1998, published by Sierra and is part of their classic city building series. So if you think of Pharaoh as being another one of those as well. And so that means it was developed by Impressions Games, and it's an absolute classic of the genre. It puts you in the role of a provincial governor, and your goal is to build these various thriving cities across the Roman Empire. Caesar 3, in my opinion, is the best one of the Caesar series. It has great campaign maps, often kind of like a difference between military assignments and peaceful assignments, and all thrown in with different challenges like earthquakes, fires, and these other hazards as well. An incredibly fun series. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any games in the City Builder series by Sierra. I think they're all classics, but Caesar 3 is a real standout for me, particularly if you're a fan of the Roman era. Space Empires 3 is a 1997 game that is part of a series of 4X turn-based strategy games by Malfador Machinations, and it puts you in the role of a leader of a spacefaring civilization. It sounds very simple so far. This game had incredible depth at the time. I'm a massive fan, I would probably say, of Space Empires 4, but that came out in 2000. Space Empires 3 was kind of my gateway into the series. There is a huge amount of variation and customization from your ships to your planets to how you approach and play the game. It's the sort of game that thrives on an eye for detail and kind of immersing yourself into the not the role-playing rather, but the scenario that you're in. So its graphics are very simple, but its gameplay is absolutely stellar. I would highly encourage you guys to check this out as well. It's usually for a very reasonable price to pick up multiple of them on either Steam or GOG.
What began as a conflict over the transfer of consciousness from flesh to machines escalated into a war which has decimated 1 million worlds. The core and the arm have all but exhausted the resources of a galaxy.
Total Annihilation, 1997. This is a real-time strategy classic that I feel often gets overlooked nowadays, but it is probably one of the most unique games to come out of the 1990s. It is big, it is crazy combat, the physics within the game have a very unique vibe and I think were incredibly innovative at the time. And the best thing about this was just having a multiplayer battle. Me and Luke used to do these and throwing thousands of units at each other with seemingly reckless abandon. It is still to this day one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had. And I feel like the unique aesthetic and vibe between the factions, the terrains, and the different variations of units, it was just really groundbreaking for its time. Definitely try this one out, guys.
"32 years have passed since the Great War. The Shivans vanished half a lifetime ago. And now,
Freespace 2 is a 1999 space combat simulation game that was developed by Volition, and it is the sequel to Descent Freespace. This game, when it came out, is a bit unusual because it received very positive reviews, but it was actually a commercial failure and was completely overlooked by the crowd at the time. The game thrusts you into the role as a pilot, and you're fighting against these mysterious aliens, the Shivans, and you're defending the human race and their allies. And there's all sorts of intrigue and mystery in the campaign, and it features a huge number of different fighters and ships and equipment that can be put onto your ship, and it kind of plays like a dogfighting space simulation, I would say. It's incredibly fun, and I think it still holds up very well to this day. The graphics are very serviceable. Obviously, it's from the 90s, so, you know, temper your expectations. But there's a lot of fun to be had in this one, and I would highly encourage people to take a look at it, as it's usually on a very good deal or price. Emperor of the Fading Suns is a turn-based 4X strategy game developed by Holistic Design, and it was released in 1997. This game was so baffling to me at the time. It has a huge, wide array of units, a complex and intricate backstory, but it was released, it was rushed upon release, and it was released with some flaws and some underdevelopment. However, the community have since stepped in and it has been patched, and a lot of fan-made mods have made this a very popular underground title. I highly recommend people can pick this one up if you're looking for something which is very sprawling, very complex, and will take you quite a bit of time to learn. I really enjoy this game. It still holds up today due to its fantastic gameplay and community support. Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, or Close Combat 2, is a real-time computer war game developed by Atomic Games and was released in 1997. It's played out on a 2D map between two different players, and the conflict centers around Operation Market Garden from World War II, so it's based in the Netherlands. The gameplay features a whole host of different units, so different infantry, rifles, scouts, snipers, MG42. You have flamethrowers, mortar teams, half-tracks, armored cars, tanks, the whole shebang. This game really gripped me and Luke when we were younger. It was so much fun to play. We probably weren't so good at it back then, but it still had these what felt like incredibly complex battles, but really boiled down into an intuitive interface and a great campaign. Highly can recommend trying this one out. I really played it not so long ago and I've still really enjoyed it. Sid Meier's Colonization. This classic turn-based strategy game was released in 1994 and focuses on the European colonization of the New World. It starts in 1492 and it plays through to 1850. Colonization is, if you're familiar with the channel, one of our favourite 4Xs of all time. The strategy, the history, the vibe and music are just brilliant, and I think is often an underrated 4X and forgotten about versus things like the Civilization series, for example. I highly recommend checking this one out on either GOG or Steam. Pick it up, it still holds up today for me.
Yeah, seriously, if we if we could get some people from the channel who even want to play this, that'd be awesome, right?
Oh, 100%.
I have no energy pack. This is not a fair duel.
Starsiege Tribes was a first-person shooter game released in 1998. It was developed by Dynamics and published by Sierra. And me and Luke were utterly obsessed with this game. It ranks in my top 5 of all time in terms of game time, I would say, and just sheer fun that I've had. There were a few reasons I think this game was so innovative for its time. One was that it not only had the traditional axes, but it also had the Z axis, so you could fly. So that just created so much more dynamic movement and speed. It really added to the game. Another reason was, of course, the community, which just were immense. You had the base game, but I, to be honest, mostly played the mod scene, and that would have been Shifter and another smaller mod called Bio Wasteland. And there are dozens of others, Annihilation, Ultra Renegades, whatever it may be. And each one had their own kind of microcosm and culture that existed within those mods. One of the best games of all time, in my opinion. One of the most innovative games of all time. It's still around today. Please join me on the European servers, because no one's ever online. So maybe if there's an interest, join the Discord and we can get a game of it. The American scene, I think, is a bit stronger, but I think it's mostly still rooted in base and I think Annihilation. Anyway, check the game out. It's an all-time classic. Well, folks, that is our top 10 gems from the 90s that I think you should definitely consider picking up, even to this day. Many of them are either on GOG, Abandonware, or so just a Google search if you want to find them, and I'm sure you won't find too many difficulties with these games here. And they're available at a pretty decent price tag as well. Thank you for listening and tuning into the video. If you have agreed with my choices, please let me know in the comments. If you disagree or you think I maybe overlooked one, let me know as well. I really enjoy making retro throwback videos, so yeah, it'd be great if you could also drop a like and of course subscribe if you enjoy our content. That will be all for today, guys. Really enjoying making videos for the channel right now, so yeah, please join us for this journey, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye now.